Okay, so our new favorite military chick is finally here. I believe her name is something like Tagliape, I don't know. The name it has a very weird translation, right? But she just came out in the Korean server, right? I have summoned several copies of her. She is currently at UR rank, so I just wanted all of the outfit pieces to be unlocked, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna check out her skills. We're gonna check out, I'll show you the badges that I have on her, and then we'll test her out in some fights, right? So just to give a fair test, I have upgraded her skills to the maximum level that I can, right? So currently all of her skills are at level 3, except her exclusive skill as at level 1, because I don't currently have too many plugin dupes of her. Unfortunately, I was very unlucky with the summons. I don't know if they rigged the raids or not, but yeah, we're gonna go into here. We're gonna check out the skill animations. We're gonna check out the skill multipliers. So first of all, the regular awaken skill. What it does is, actually I'm gonna show you the translation, and I'm gonna go to max level just to give you a fair comparison, right? So to the furthest enemy from her, she does 1500% multiplier damage. She applies burn on top of that damage, and if you notice, she ignores 100% of the enemy's defense, right? It also reduces accuracy, but I think the main part here is the absolutely massive damage multiplier, as well as a full defense ignore, which it does sound good on paper. I've tested her out a bit. It's definitely far from a one-shot, right? But it still does very, very significant damage with her skills. Next up, we have the Blossom skill. So this one, this will target the enemy that is close to you, right? It will do 1000% damage, 10%, ignore the 109%, it's 10%, the translator just has trouble picking it up. So 1000% damage, there will be burn damage and attack speed reduced by 50%, right? So at level 5, it also stuns all enemies in the range for 1.5 seconds, and while you are casting the skill, you have 80% damage reduction, right? So a stun, attack speed reduce, and burn on top of a pretty decent damage, right? Next up, we have the active skill. So this one, I would say this is probably the main reason where she will be useful, right? This active skill is able to push enemies away from her, which is, first of all, amazing for a ranger in case they do get in trouble by something like an assassin, right? But second of all, I will explain it more in the battle showcase, but this specific skill allows for pretty good team setups for other units, right? So to the enemy with the lowest health, 700% damage. To the enemy in front of you, push them away, right? And on top of that, she also reduces the recovery for those targets. Next up, Awaken skill 2. This one is pretty regular. It does 700% multiplier damage, and during skill casting time, you also get damage resistance of 30%, very similar to the Blossom ultimate. When the hit is a critical hit to yourself, area damage increases by 50%. She does have a way to do more critical rate in the hits, right? It is built into her passive or its exclusive passive. We'll check it out. But yeah, definitely doing critical hits will not be too much of an issue for her, because she has huge buffs to increase that critical hit. So we go to the passive. Yeah, I believe the critical buff is built into the exclusive. Her passive, very simple. When making a normal attack, the closer the distance to the target, the more damage you deal. So if you are attacking pretty much in melee range, you will be doing the maximum damage. If you're attacking from further away, you will be doing a bit less, right? And now her exclusive skill. So this one is pretty good, and just based on this exclusive skill, you will instantly see that she will mostly fit into a full green team, right? Ideally, you want to have at least 4 green element units in your team, and if we translate the skill, actually, you know what? I'm gonna go to the maximum level first. So activated when you have a plugin, of course, right? And depending on the number of computational core allies, I've consulted with the Discord, right, because I'm not too familiar with these names. From what I understand, computational core is the green element, if I'm correct. Although if I am not, please correct me in the comments, right, because I'm really not good with these element names. I just call them green, red, and blue. But yeah, if there's 2 computational core allies, your critical hit chance increases by 20%, if there's 3 by 30%, and if there's 4 or more by 50%, right? And also to increase calculation core allies, so basically that passive applies if there are a number of computational core allies. For this one, this is the calculation core. I'm honestly unsure which core calculation is, because again, like, these names are way too difficult. So here's the thing, someone leave a comment with what computational core and calculation core means, and I'll make sure to pin it for others to see, because I just can't be asked with these names, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, if there's calculation core allies, so for 2 you get okay, the translation is a little bit wacky. So for 2 you get 12% attack speed boost, for 3 you get 22% attack speed boost, and for 4 and more you get 33% attack speed boost. And next up, we're gonna be testing her out in the battle a bit, right? Just after this fight finishes, I put her in the 3rd team. I'll run her a few more times with various skill combinations, right? But yeah, so for this one, I am using her with the Awaken skill type. If you look at my team, right, I currently have a light unit as well as 4 green type units, so it should activate one of the buffs, right? At least I hope that I understood the skill correctly. But yeah, with the Awaken skill, she will be targeting the backline units, so she will be hitting the one right here, right, at the very back on the bottom, not the share, right? And if you look at the damage, she's gonna drop a lot of these like weird rockets or whatever, and it did around half of the unit's HP. It applied the accuracy down and it applied the burn effect, right? However, it was definitely quite far from killing the enemies, so yeah, in terms of damage, I don't think she's gonna be like your main damage carry. She does good damage, as you can see. I can only hope that the green element was correct, because she is landing a lot of critical hits with that skill, right? But yeah, I don't know. I think it killed in like 3rd or 4th attempt. Again, she is gonna be top damage, but the reason she is top damage is because the only other damage unit in my team is Serapulsar, and yeah, believe it or not, Serapulsar is already dead. Solid F tier unit right there. But yeah, I think this kill, yeah, this one will kill, and now she'll be targeting Cher because she is the furthest away in the fight. Spoiler alert, the fight is a win, of course. This wasn't too difficult of a fight, especially since it's the 3rd team in the what's called like triple team story mode. So yeah, I'm just gonna let one more ult go. I believe she will kill it with that, and we'll skip to the next fight. And yeah, if you're interested, this is the damage statistics from that fight. Again, Serapulsar died like midway, so she definitely wasn't able to do too much damage. If she was alive till the very end, I can see her doing like 4 to 5 million damage, which means that this new unit will do a little bit more. But also, when your competition is Serapulsar, no offense to her, that's not too difficult to beat, you know? And after this, I tried her out in a few more story mode matches, right? These will be single teams. And what I did is, without doing too much various team building, I simply swapped several various units with her. So in this one, this is usually my team, and instead of Frederica, the dark, like red-haired assassin or whatever you want to call it, I placed her. Unfortunately, this loses me the bonus, but then again, we're only doing this for testing purposes, right? So yeah. Overall, I think I'm still using the Awaken skill, if I'm correct. I will be using Blossom skills a bit later into the video, right? But yeah, again, most of these fights will be wins, right? But what I want to do with these tests is see how well they compare with my other damage dealers. So we're gonna be comparing it to the Thief, we're gonna be comparing her to Rachel, and we're gonna be comparing her to Frederica, because let's be real, what's the point of a new unit if it cannot be the 3 top damage dealers that I currently have, right? Now, I will give her some room for error, right? Because she is a bit less upgraded than my other 3 damage dealers, right? But then again, if her damage is like 50% or less, that's not gonna be an excuse. Unfortunately, as you can see, Thief, obviously like Thief domination, nothing new there. She does more than half, or rather less than half of the damage that Rachel did, which is a bit of a letdown, I'm not gonna lie. Rachel is fully a single target unit as well, right? Which means that's probably the most accurate competition she will have, since both Thief and Frederica do AoE damage. So yeah, in this one, I'm gonna remove Rachel, right? And instead place a, what's it called, Madelight in there, which should allow her, first of all, to buff up the ultimate damage of both of these units. And she's only gonna be competing against the Thief to see how the damage works. I also have a little bit of a team bonus now because of that light unit. But yeah, I mean, against Thief, look, my Thief is really upgraded quite high, right? So if she does even half of the damage that Thief does, I would be very impressed, right? But unfortunately, the damage she does isn't the greatest. I mean, that single target nuke did quite a bit, I have to say. That did quite a bit. Thief completely wiped this. I think she did like 5 million, whereas the, what's it called, Tagliape did, yeah, 4 million compared to 1.3. I mean, 1.3 is not bad. I think she only launched 1 ultimate on a single target, so that's not too bad, right? And for the next text, I used the same team, however, I swapped out the Thief and I put Rachel in, right? Both of the damage dealers are running regular Awaken skills. I'm hoping this will be a bit more of a fair comparison, because both of them will have single target abilities mostly, right? I mean, Rachel is full single target, Tagliape is mostly single target, a few AoE abilities, right? But you can see the push. What I have to say about the push is I think she's gonna be more of a CC unit rather than what do you call it, a damage dealer unit. And the reason for that is there are some damage dealer units, for example, oh yeah, I got wiped on this one, I fully forgot. But yeah, overall she isn't able to compete with damage wise. But what I want to point out with her, right? So let's say in a scenario like this, you are running some sort of an AoE damage unit that has a little bit of a smaller skill range, right? I know for most popular units like Patricia, her skill range, even this setup, it would probably reach all of the enemies in the backline as well. But for something like a Freya, for example, where her AoE abilities are a little bit of a lower range, she is able to perfectly set it up. And the reason for that is usually when there's a tank on the enemy team as well as a ranger, it makes very difficult for a lot of the backline and fighter units to target the enemy backline, since the tanks are so far ahead that it's simply difficult to have enough range to hit both of them. I know another unit that really struggles with this is Yuna, for example, whereas she is able to hit the backline units, but they usually need to have a much lower distance between them. And with this push, right, that she does right here, she pushes the frontline units to the back, and in the meantime, while they are in the back, unfortunately she didn't hit this one, right? If she hit all of the frontline units, your main tank would move a little bit further, and their pushed back units would only move next to your tank, which means there is a much lower gap between their front line and their back line, which allows those smaller range units, for example, again, Freya, Yuna, and whatever else you have that has a little bit of a lower range AoE, those AoEs would be way more effective, right? So this is the main reason where I can see her being used, right? Not as a damage dealer, but more as a CC unit slash the sort of like push unit, right? Okay, I'm gonna try the same team, however this time I have switched her to the Blossom ultimate, right? And what her Blossom ultimate does is it will target the units in front of you, right, instead of the backline. However, it will have a much bigger range, as well as it will stun and lower the attack speed of those enemies. So you can see with the push, right, and she drops the nuke, and the 3 enemies here, they have bird, they have stun, and they have attack speed reduction, on top of dealing pretty good damage. Like if you look at the damage chart, you can see she's currently matching Rachel. Now, yes, Rachel is a single target damage dealer, but she's also a little bit more upgraded. I believe this is still a loss, but I just wanted to give you an example of what the Blossom ultimate looks in a fight, right? Now this one is correct. Thief now has the Blossom skills, so again, expect Thief to do most damage, right? Like look at that, half of their HP is gone. But yeah, we're gonna test out full Blossom skills here. With this one, well, look at that. She almost dropped, there we go, the stun drops, the attack speed nuke drops, she pushes the backline, and as you can see, she pushed the backline, and some of my backline units moved a little bit further, right? So, yeah, you can build some sort of combos with that, I guess. I will leave that one up to you, right? I'm not really great with building all of these combos, so I trust the rest of the community to do that, right? But yeah, damage-wise, just cannot compare, right? We do not compare her and Thief, but she is able to launch her ultimate quite often, right? It only costs 900 energy, I believe, which is relatively low for ultimates, right? Majority of them cost like 1,000 or more, so she is gonna be able to charge that ultimate quite often. I think, well, this is like 3rd or 4th time she's using that ultimate, and honestly, while she's not doing massive damage, she is buying a lot of time for my Thief to charge her ultimate, right? Because while keeping the enemy stunned, my Thief is able to charge it a bit faster. Unfortunately, I did lose, but yeah, overall, personally, I'm more of a fan of the Blossom skill, right? And purely for CC purposes, if I was looking for damage, I would be using the Awaken skill, right? But also, I already have enough units that target the backline. For example, my Rachel can target the backline, my Thief will target everyone, including the backline. Frederica, her regular Awaken skill, will also target the backline, so I don't really need more options, especially when the option is a ranger, and again, rangers will die very fast compared to fighters, right? So yeah, overall, I do want to mention one thing. Based on her skills, I would compare her to Frederica, like a very budget Frederica, because her Awaken skill is very similar, right? Both of them will target usually the rangers in the backline and will do massive single target damage, right? And both of their Awaken skills will target the enemies near them and will do massive damage and CC in there as well. So that's the closest comparison I could draw between the two units, right? But yeah, that's just my short review of her skills, right? Overall, I wouldn't say she's the worst unit, but also definitely nothing game-changing, right? Somewhere towards the middle, right? If I wanted to do a tier list, which personally I will never do, right? I will never do a tier list. Don't ever ask me for that unless it has something to do not with gameplay. But yeah, overall, I would give her something like an B, a high B, maybe a low A tier, right? I definitely see her being used. She can be used to builds various compositions, right, around other units. I think she will be more of a support for other units than for being a damage dealer herself. But overall, somewhere towards the middle, right? Would I summon if I had very limited skulls and not testing for content? Probably not, right? I don't see her fitting into a lot of my teams, unfortunately, right? But she is definitely a very fun unit to play around, which I cannot say for a lot of the other units in the game, right? So yeah, that's just the short review. Let me know what you think about her skills, right? And whether you will be looking to summon her, and yeah. Oh, and I almost forgot, I'm gonna test her out in the boss fight, right? We're gonna test out the regular Awaken skill, because it seems like the hits she does will be a total of like 8 to 9 or something like that. However, they seem to be hitting random enemies, so maybe I'm thinking she is somewhat good against a single target bosses or something like that, right? So I just put her in my regular team. I replaced her, I replaced Rachel with her, so we still have the Thief, we have Rachel, and we have the Frederica in there. I believe Frederica will not be buffing her damage because Thief and Frederica herself has higher attack than she does, but even if she does at least like half of the boss's HP, it should be a pretty good indicator that she does good damage, right? And so far it's looking pretty decent, I would say. And yeah, it's definitely, I think the thing with the Awakened skill is it definitely works better on single targets, right? Not just at the ultimate, but also one of her other skills is like dropping a lot of rockets on the boss, right? But yeah, I'm looking at the damage. Usually I do somewhere around the 50th HP bar. So at this moment, I mean, it's beating pretty good. It's doing pretty good, right? But then again, I also just upgraded all of my units to level 200 today. So yeah, I don't know. Frederica did pretty much a lot of the damage, but she's not too far from the Thief actually, and my Thief is upgraded through the roof, right? So I would say that's not too bad. Let me actually compare her. Instead of Frederica, I'm gonna put out Rachel in there. It's probably gonna get a lower overall score, however I wanna see how they compare against her because she is a single target damage dealer, and I'm hoping it's gonna be a bit of a more fair comparison, right? So we're running triple Awakened skills on all my damage dealers because the Awakened skills will be doing more damage on single target enemies rather than their Blossom skills. But yeah, let me see how she fares, right? Because I think she might be more boss oriented, right? The sort of a unit where you use her for boss fights or for setting up your other units / CC abilities, right? I mean, yeah, Rachel, I always thought that Rachel is like an assassin, but she's doing very well in boss fights as well, so I cannot complain there. But then again, Tagliape is doing big damage. She drops her ultimate. Let me see the damage, let me see how many critical hits there will be. There was 1 or 2 critical hits, so not bad. She's doing very similar damage to the Thief, and that makes me very, very impressed because my Thief, I would say my Thief has like somewhat close to 1.5 times more attack than the Tagliape does, right? So with that amount of damage, she definitely gets close to Thief if we had similar gear. Thief died, unfortunately. The cool thing about her is she is gonna stay backline, so she will get targeted a bit less. Yeah, that bombardment is doing a lot of damage, you know? But we have to not forget that bombardment ignores defense, which this boss has a lot of. I think that's the reason why it's doing so well, right? It just ignores all of that defense that he has. And yeah, overall damage, I mean, she outdamaged the Thief. Thief died early, but she outdamaged the Thief, which in my opinion is pretty impressive. So yeah, she's definitely pretty good in single target. By the way, how did I get 6 outfits from this? But yeah, she's definitely, one more thing that she's good at is single target fights, right? So boss fights, all of that. She is pretty good in here. Now for sure, the video is done, and yeah, peace.